Thinking about a new home theater or already own one? I've designed and set up hundreds of audio-video rooms, and in this video we'll talk about the top 5 home theater mistakes that are still made during design and installation. Actually 6 and a bonus. Let's get into it. This episode is brought to you by AV Room Service, specializing in acoustic design services and products to optimize the performance of your room and equipment experience. Visit us at avroomservice.com or book a call to speak with me to see how I can help you get the most out of your room and gear. AV Room Service, the science of perfected sound. I have designed some of the first residential Dolby surround sound home theaters back in 1982. I have since designed and installed and calibrated home theaters all over the world. In addition, I am often called in to fix problems. Here are the most common mistakes I run into that I hope you will avoid simply by watching this video. Starting out with number 6, lazy calibration of the audio and video system. Audio. Not just getting channel IDs and levels right, but by checking each driver's phase, the equipment input and output levels, etc. For example, introducing a device like an equalizer into the chain will likely require setting the gain structure to best match the audio-video controller with the amplifiers. In general, for a home theater, the electrical signal level for a reference sound pressure level of 85 dB SPL is about 150 millivolts. To have a little headroom, it's best to have about 3 volts. For subs that might have a 10 dB offset relative to the other channels, you might need about 7 volts before clipping. Note that digital devices are not as forgiving as analog. As a matter of fact, they're not forgiving at all. Also note, there's only one point in space where the levels and the timing can converge. So it's best to converge in a single sweet spot so that those surrounding seats will be closer to the target point. Years ago, I was called in because of some issues with Tommy Hilfiger's home theater. Now, the system had been up and running for about 6 months or so. And when I come into a project like that, first thing I'll do is just listen to it. And then I need to make sure that everything is configured right and everything is performing as it should before I can start making true evaluations. Otherwise, I'm kind of chasing my tail around. And what I noticed was right off was there was one channel that had no tweeter, it wasn't working, and another speaker where one of the drivers was out of phase. And you know, when there's something subtle like that, it may not be that obvious to somebody who doesn't have a real experienced ear or isn't going through this kind of detail. But when it is put together as a whole system, it suddenly is in focus and is much more believable. Video. The focus may look impressive, but the colors and hues and saturation, black level and white level, etc. are off. These are known levels that are measurable so that you can see what and how it was meant to be seen. Number 5, inadequate electrical power. At minimum, overrate everything and isolate where you can to keep the current capabilities up and the noise interference down. Technical grounding and separately derived systems are very worthwhile for power quality, which means not just better sound because of better equipment performance, but improved longevity for the equipment life. This is a common one. Number 4, the screen's too big. The director does not want you to be moving your head in order to see the whole picture. A viewing angle of 30 to 40 degrees for a 16 by 9 or 2.35 is ideal, matched with the output of the video display device's resolution, light and distance, screen gain, etc. The 4K display devices these days typically have enough resolution and light output to handle most home theater applications, unless you're pushing to go beyond what was intended by the artist, as well as comfort. Chair type and locations. This is the silliest and easiest to fix of all. One, chairs with a headrest like this is a problem in that you're going to be reflecting the speakers that are in front of you, and you're going to be blocking the speakers that are behind you. So audio doesn't stand a chance. The primary seat location. I'll often see there isn't one. The best spot in the theater is an armchair with 2 seats next to it. There should be a primary magic seat, and those around it will be closer to the target. Whenever I have somebody over for our home theater, they get that seat. And then the other is having seats that are too close to a speaker or too close to a wall, for example. Often this is an issue that is commonly plague home theaters. Acoustic imbalances. This makes or breaks the experience. Human perception says that the audio is more important than the video regarding the experience and the suspended disbelief. Your room is acoustically unique and requires a customized prescription to organize the chaos. The goal is to make the room sonically disappear of room modes, reverberations, and noise distractions. Electronic equipment cannot overcome the room acoustics. DSP is super limited in its capabilities. And as it alters the electrical signal feeding the speakers, once those signals are converted to sound waves, the room has control. The biggest mistake I see regarding acoustic treatments is that the interior acoustic treatments are over-absorbing the mids and highs and doing nothing below about 500 hertz. These rooms not only sound strange and unnatural, but are often even uncomfortable to be in. Plus, they're boomy and they have no low frequency articulation. This is a chart of many common acoustic treatment panels. Note how most any 1 to 2 inch fiberglass or foam panel rolls off below about 500 hertz. Notice also that they perform differently at different frequencies. The applied treatments must match well with the tested or computer estimated reverberation times via computer modeling in order to be neutralized. In this chart, we see where the typical absorptive panels fall within the frequency range. Note that they only address the top half of the keyboard. Bass extension and articulation are typically the first and fundamental sound quality attributes humans associate with high fidelity. Absorbers and diffusers are wavelength specific. Acoustic treatment is all about the right type of treatments in the right locations and in the right quantities. In order to make this prescription, testing and modeling is required. Basing acoustic treatments on photos and room dimensions alone is simply guesswork, and not addressing the lower octaves is never going to allow for a truly great experience. And here's number 1, not discussing noise control. Electrical to be sure, but by far the biggest mistake is not considering the noise that will escape from the home theater that may bother those in other parts of the house. I can't tell you how many homeowners invested in their home theaters only to discover that they can't use it after the kids are in bed. Structural isolation was never discussed. Addressing it after the build is much more expensive than addressing it beforehand. It is complicated. You're talking about structural vibrations and airborne sound waves. There are multiple paths for each that need to be considered. Note that sound is always a two-way street, meaning if the sound can get out, it can also get in. So sometimes home theaters are plagued with noise infiltration from outside of the space, like traffic noise, etc. And here's the bonus I was talking about. decoupling the speakers to the structure. You want to do just the opposite. You want to isolate the speakers from the structure. This is the easiest to apply and the least expensive to apply. When you isolate from the structure, not only are the speakers going to sound better, the room is going to be quieted of resonances and buzzes and rattles, and so that also adjacent spaces aren't annoyed by them. A subwoofer can be heard in other parts of the home unless it's decoupled from the structure. See our EVP product for the best isolation feet made, lab proven. Remember that optimization of the room and the equipment is key to getting the most enjoyment from your investment. To learn more about audio and acoustics, check out one of these videos or book a call with me at avroomservice.com to see how I might help you optimize your AV system or project.